Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine is what you get when you throw a bunch of ideas together that don't seem like they would work, but somehow do. The best way to sum up Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine is to imagine if RoboCop was shot in South Korea, but instead of a cop, it's a teenage girl, and instead of a beloved cult classic, it's a film that no one has heard of. Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine deserves to be up there with RoboCop as one of the all-time great cult films, and I can see a lot of people loving it if only they knew about it, which is why I have started this Hidden Gem series in order to promote obscure films that deserve a lot more praise and attention than what they are currently receiving. Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine was released in 2000, which was more or less the height of the Dogma 95 movement, and even though it's not strictly a Dogma film, it still has the handheld aesthetic that makes Dogma films so appealing. South Korea actually had its own Dogma film called The Interview that received the signed manifesto of approval from all 4 founding members of the movement. I have absolutely no idea why Lars and the other 3 founding members gave The Interview the official seal of approval. The film literally breaks every single vow of chastity and feels like it is just trying to ride the Dogma wave in order to get more attention. Enough about The Interview anyway. This video is supposed to be about why Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine is so awesome, not about some wannabe Korean Dogma film that doesn't deserve to be watched, let alone talked about. Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine opens up with a pre-credit sequence that highlights the film's soundtrack. It's similar to how Gaspar Noé highlights the music in his films, only a lot duller and without any seizure-inducing strobe lights and loud electronic dance music. The actual opening credits sequence features some really awesome ambient music that's super mellow and helps set the mood perfectly. The only problem is that the opening credits sequence goes on for really long. 5 minutes 51 seconds to be precise. I say problem, but it's really not, and the overly long scenes are actually what gives the film a lot of its style and charm. I can see the long scenes being a bit of a deal breaker for some, but if you stick with them, the repetitiveness actually becomes quite funny. After the delightful opening credits sequence, our protagonist, the teenage hooker, is greeted by a man holding a penis. Not sure why he is holding a penis, but it makes for some interesting POV shots, and naturally the only way to follow up a POV penis shot is with... I guess it's not the worst way to pay for tuition. The old lady whose house they are screwing outside of isn't very pleased and ends up going on a rant. Could you imagine working at a call centre and ringing an old woman up and all you hear is her blabbering about her dead husband and people screwing outside of her window? I guarantee it's actually happened at least once. The teenage hooker's teacher randomly shows up with his arms out as if he's some kind of Jesus Christ figure, but with a face like that, he looks more like a walking advertisement for botched plastic surgery. I'm not sure if the teacher is supposed to be ugly or some kind of demon. It's weird, it's unclear, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't really need to. The teacher and hooker manage to come to an arrangement, and like most shady hooker transactions, the initial awkwardness is followed up with grandpa dancing. It goes on and on and on and on and on for 2 minutes 30 seconds, and every single second is glorious. I'm not entirely sure if the joyous bike ride was part of the 50 grand package, but the hooker and teacher seem to be having the time of their lives. It's like the bike had its own built-in laughing gas. It wouldn't surprise me if the demon teacher had his own personal supply, because the majority of his dialogue is made up of insane laughter. The teacher's bachelor pad, abandoned factory, comes with its own built-in sex swing, and you might be expecting more weird awkward moments, but this film actually gets pretty intimate for a while and is followed by a really heartfelt monologue. Safe to say, Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine is a bit of a roller coaster. I can't show the intimate scene because it's pretty steamy, so allow me to paint a mental picture. Heavy breathing and classical music. Turns out that our protagonist is a bit of a tramp and has been sleeping with all the other teachers but giving the demon-faced teacher freebies. I guess it's love? The teenage hooker is pregnant with the teacher's baby as a result of his demon semen. Teenage hooker became killing machine's narrative is a bit all over the place, and what feels like days worth of events actually takes place weeks to months apart, which can be a little confusing if you are not paying attention, but it's honestly done really well. The demon teacher isn't too pleased with the idea of raising a child with the teenage hooker, so blows her away. I can't show the next clip because it would result in my channel being terminated, so allow me to yet again paint another mental picture. The unborn baby is now floating outside of the teenage hooker's shot open stomach and is still attached to the umbilical cord. This is why Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine is so great. Well, not the baby death, but the fact that the film is constantly so wild and you never know what is going to happen next. There is no other film out there that feels even remotely like it, and it is a truly special experience. Turns out that the baby section was actually a dream sequence. Yeah, it can be a little hard to keep up with the film at times. Instead of blowing her away, the teacher instead invited round 3 of his scientist friends to dispose of his teenage hooker side piece. I guess it wasn't true love after all. The brutal murder is set to classical music and it's actually kind of beautiful, and gory, and hilarious. The film is only an hour long but manages to pack so many different emotions into each scene. It's wonderful. The demon teacher has some serious contacts. Not only is he friends with 3 scientists, but also some secret agent looking guys and an albino Rumpelstiltskin. Albino Rumpelstiltskin manages to turn the teenage hooker into a cyborg with nothing more than a sewing machine, and I would like nothing more than to show how glorious his creation looks, but I'm afraid the protagonist is naked and we all know how much YouTube hates naked people. The teenage hooker has been tasked with assassinating some men at a bar, which should be no problem now that she is a killing machine. Well, maybe a bit of a problem because it appears someone has bricked up the bathroom window. The teenage hooker tries to escape through the kitchen but gets shot, which results in the men walking away instead of finishing her off for some reason. Yet again, I would love to show the next scene but can't. All I will say is that she gets shot through the chest and it makes her robot boob explode. It's really cool and the effect looks super cheap, yet at the same time really creative. The teenage hooker spots one of the scientists and follows him to his car. The scene is really long and drawn out like many of the others, but if you have made it this far into the film then you should be used to the long scenes by now and have no problem with them. The teenage hooker is now a complete badass that goes on a revenge mission. She executes the scientist without thinking twice, but has trouble killing the demon teacher who she still has feelings for, even after all the shit he has done to her. If that's not true love, then I don't know what is. Just when you thought the teenage hooker couldn't get any more badass, she lifts up her skirt revealing a gun penis. Yes, that's right, you heard me, a gun penis. The demon teacher shot his load into her, so it's only fitting that she shoots her load into him. The only difference is that hers packs a little more of a punch.
Goodbye.
There you have it, that was Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine, a criminally underrated South Korean film that is nothing short of amazing. I don't know what genre you would even class it as, there really is nothing else out there quite like it. Hopefully I have managed to convince some of you to check out Teenage Hooker Became Killing Machine. It's only an hour long and it's a nice quick easy watch, so if you ever have an hour free it's definitely worth checking out. The reviews are all over the place and it's one of those Marmite movies that you're either going to love or hate, but either way you should still give it a go. I hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned for more Hidden Gems videos that will be coming very soon. My Twitter and letterbox are linked in the description below, and remember to like and subscribe. See you later.